The Prime Minister plans to recognise a Palestinian state today, or say he will. And your leader says that this would be rewarding Hamas. Do you accept that there has to be a path to the two-state solution that you all say you want?
Yes, of course. We want a two-state solution. We want a secure Israel alongside a viable, sovereign Palestinian state. But you've got to ask the question, what is this recognition going to actually achieve? It's not going to release the hostages. It's not going to lead to humanitarian aid going into Gaza. It's not going to take one further step on that route towards peace. And what you do in negotiations, Trevor, as you know, is if you give something quite significant, then you expect something in return. You have to use the leverage of that moment. And that is what this government has failed to do. And if you then ask the question, well, why have they therefore done what they've done? That is because of the pressure that the Prime Minister is receiving from both within his cabinet and backbenchers. And that is not a good way to make foreign policy.
Well, the Deputy Prime Minister said to me this morning that they warned the Israelis weeks and weeks ago that they would go ahead with recognition if the Israelis didn't do something about the settlements, didn't do something about the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. That hasn't happened, and that therefore everybody was warned. And this is a way of actually getting things to move.
Well, no, as I say, they've got absolutely nothing in return. And also amongst those stipulations were a ceasefire and moves towards a two-state solution. We're a long way from the latter, at the very least. And it was totally naive to think that putting forward those conditions was going to result in that kind of movement. And as I say, what has happened is that Keir Starmer's backbenchers and members of his cabinet have forced him into this position to make this move, which is not going to do any of the positive things that I've referred to earlier, and has taken leverage off the table, and that's not good foreign policy.
Well, when you say taking leverage off the table, I mean, it's hard to see what leverage can do. For example, are you supportive of the Israelis' latest drive to clear out Gaza City? Do you think that's helping to resolve the situation in any way?
We know that Hamas has Israeli hostages. Some of them, very sadly, will be dead. Some will be alive. It is within their power to release those hostages. We know that Hamas is a terrorist organisation. This government, supported by the Conservative Party, prescribed Hamas fairly recently as a terrorist organisation. And Israel has every right to deal with them.
Well, it may have every right, but is the action that it's taking in Gaza now helping to resolve the situation?
Well, Hamas has to be dealt with, and Hamas has it within its power to release hostages, to lay down its weapons and so on. But you can't have a situation where you have, and bear in mind, Trevor, a lot of these terrorists, of course, are lurking within civilian areas, which they know complicates matters in ways that are deeply unfortunate. But that is the way that they operate. But Hamas has to be defeated and dealt with.
All right. The Chancellor is preparing her budget, which she will unveil the back end of November, I think. Other than resign, what advice would you be giving her?
Gosh, that is like saying somebody has crashed a car into a wall at 100 miles an hour and then you saying to me, here we are, take the steering wheel and get out of that one if you will.
No,
The mistakes that have been made, if I can answer it this way.
You're a patriotic guy. You want to help the country.
Of course. OK. So what she's got to do is she's got to start reviving the animal spirits in our economy. You have got a business, the business community in our country has been absolutely flattened by very high taxes, by talking down the economy, by inflation being higher than other countries because of the fiscal decisions that this government took, which means interest rates higher as well, which has led to huge servicing costs on our national debt, to which this government has readily been adding. And all of that adds up to lost fiscal headroom and higher taxes in the autumn. So to answer your question, I would not have gone into that position in the first place. We would have come into power. We would have been focusing more on growth. This is that old joke,
isn't it? I wouldn't start from here.
We most definitely would not. And we would have done differently. We'd taken different choices on taxes. We would have taxed the living daylights out of business. We'd have focused on productivity. You know, they came in, they gave 14% to the train drivers, 22% to junior doctors, not a single productivity string attached, and we'd have dealt with welfare.
Okay.
Getting the welfare bill down is key to getting tax off the backs of the population and particularly business.
OK, well, that's interesting. OK, other than let's get a time machine, your point about welfare is very interesting because the biggest component in that area, of course, is pensions. Would you stick with the triple lock on pensions introduced by your party, which, of course, is going to cost us another £6 billion next year?
We remain committed to the triple lock. Look, the triple lock came in under the Conservatives. Well, it came in under the Conservatives in 2011 for good reason, which is that the previous Labour government had seen us get to the point where we had the fourth highest level of pensioner poverty in Europe, which was a pretty disgraceful situation to have arrived at. We've seen 200,000 pensioners come out of absolute poverty as a result of the policies we pursued in government, including the triple lock.
But in reality, I mean, you're a very numerate person. £6 billion next year, I think another £40 billion by the middle or towards the end of the next decade. Do you genuinely believe that the triple lock is sustainable and morally justified, given that more than half of pensioners now are asset millionaires?
So the way to ensure that we have a sustainable economy is to get it growing, which means different choices on tax, big decisions around the size of the state, big decisions on skills and higher education,
asking about a specific
controlling
point.
Welfare. But this is the important point. If you look at the OBR's fiscal sustainability report, which looks out decades and is the point that you're referring to, I think, and you look at how it's all going largely out of control through time, OK, the debt-to-GDP ratio. If you could double the trend growth that we've got at the moment through the kind of things I've touched on, hold on, that line goes like that, down to that, OK? The problem gets dealt with through higher growth. So the key is higher growth. So what you don't do is what this government's doing. What you do is have a different radical
Chancellor for the last 25, 30 years has sat and told people like me that's the answer and failed to deliver it. Why not deal with a specific thing that you could actually do? You could pull the lever and say, honestly, we are not going to do this gold-plated thing, the triple lock, for pensioners forever and ever. So
you've had my answer on the triple lock, but you're also saying, well, why don't you say what you'll do on things? I've been very clear, for example, on welfare, that budget is spiralling out of control, and it does need to be dealt with, and we will deal with it. As we were when we were in office.
Just very quickly, how many more Conservative MPs do you expect to jump ship to Nigel Farage's party now that they are more than 10 points ahead in the polls?
I can't predict the future. But what I can say, I'm not saying that, but what I can say with absolute certainty is when Danny jumped ship, which I'm sorry to have seen, he actually said, oh, well, the Conservative Party is all over. Anybody in this highly volatile political world of a multi-party system overlaying a first-past-the-post electoral system that can predict what party's going to win in 4 years' time is living in cloud cuckoo land. OK, it is all to play for. We're doing all the hard work. We're holding this government to account. We have every opportunity to come good at the next election.
All right, well, we'll have this conversation again in 2 years' time.
An exam question that will be answered.
Mel Stride, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.